All right. Real Estate for Real with Eric Pettigo. That's me. I'm Eric Pettigo. And I've got my good friend Gina Wolter back with me today. How are you?
Doing well.
Thank you so much for coming back. Let's get you a little closer so the people at home can hear you and not just me.
Okay.
Even though, yeah, I don't know. I guess depending on what you say, we might need you to lean back a little bit. I sent out an email yesterday to the office because I didn't have anybody lined up. And so for one, thank you for agreeing to jump on. I appreciate it. I've got people lined up the next couple of weeks, but I didn't have anybody this week. And I thought I'm just going to like an open invite because there are a few things that I'm currently dealing with. And it's like, well, I would just come talk about them on the podcast and see if anybody else wants to talk about it. And it just so happens that one of the things is the current appraisal process. And you and I are experiencing this right now.
We're dealing with it together.
Yeah, right. And so I was not surprised at all when you said me. And so what I want to do, and it's what I guess what I don't want to do is to come on here and badmouth appraisers because that's not the intention. There's some really good appraisers out there. There are some in our office there, but the process itself can be frustrating at times, and trying to make sense of it when you really start applying logic to what these appraisals are and the impact they have on our transactions. For realtors, we're trying to wrap our heads around like, wait a minute, why is this happening? And so you and I can talk about that a little bit. And then I also wanted to talk about communication and how important that is amongst realtors. And so if you don't mind, I want to jump into that real quick. And I'll tell you where this came from. So I've talked about it on like every episode for the past, I don't know how many months, but my son, Jace Daly, is now a licensed agent. He's been an agent for a couple of months now. And in teaching someone how to do this job, like some things start becoming kind of, clear to me, I guess, or things pop that I deal with, but then in seeing him deal with, I'm trying to make sense of it all. In communication. I mean, how important is that amongst realtors?
That's crucial.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? And it's frustrating because he's out there and he's busy and he's showing houses and it's great. And there are agents where he's like, okay, this agent has this house listed. I want to go see it. There's some coming soons or something. And, he's trying to schedule a showing and it's not in showing time. So he's like, should I just call the agent? And my response for a few of them were, well, good luck. Good luck. You can call, you can text, you can do whatever you want. Good luck. But with remarkable accuracy, I can predict who's calling him back and who isn't.
And that's unfortunate because that seller has no idea.
Right.
They want you to sell their house. So, if somebody's reaching out to you to schedule a showing, you're representing the seller that's put their faith and confidence in you getting the job done. And if sellers realize that, agents aren't being responsive, that's not good.
No. And it's after a few times, I told him he called somebody and say, well, this agent didn't call me back. And I would say, they will. Don't worry.
Yeah, they're busy.
That agent will call you back.
You get busy,
But then some, I'm like, you're going to have to try a few times. And after a few weeks, he was like, I can't believe how right you were. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Because I know I've been doing this long enough, and we know there are some agents that really, really struggle to not just pick up the phone, but return a phone call, return a text.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect by any means. I know a few have slipped through the cracks, and I have to come back and apologize. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And we all get busy.
True.
But man, we have to keep in mind how important it is to keep those lines of communication open with each other. I mean, we're attached to our phones.
Right.
24/7.
I know you saw my text.
Right. Yeah, it's not, I didn't have my phone on me. Please. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You could have been in Bermuda. You had your phone on you. We all do.
Absolutely. I was just in Canada a week ago. And
How many times did we talk when you were on vacation?
me, Logan, sold one sight unseen. I mean, you got your phone on.
Yeah.
And if I had one client reach out to me. I said, "Hey, I'm rafting down the river right now in Banff. I'll get back to you as soon as I get off this raft."
Right.
Because it's like Pavlov's dog. You're just trained to respond to that. And if I have an unanswered text hanging over my head, it drives me crazy.
Yes.
If I'm at a showing and I get a text, I'm like, "Hey, I'm at a showing. I'll get back to you as soon as I can." And I do.
My phone, and I don't know, you have an Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Okay. So I don't know if an iPhone does this. I've got an Android. But one of the latest updates is with texts. If there's a question or something like that, if there's a text that doesn't get responded to, whether I sent it or I received it, the next day it'll move that up to the top of my list and say, "Hey, do you want to follow up on this or no?"
My email does that too.
It's it's so helpful of our technology to remind us.
Oops, I forgot.
Yeah, hey, can you remember? People are trying to talk to you, so talk back.
Right.
And it's, what is the number one complaint about realtors?
Lack of communication.
It's crazy, right? We are in a business that relies so heavily on communication.
Not with just each other, but with our clients, with the lender, with the appraiser, with the inspector. Yeah.
I mean, it's mind-boggling to me, and so I don't know how much I didn't know how long we could talk about this, but it's just, I just want to urge realtors out there to try to do better.
Yeah, it would be helpful. Yeah.
Try to do better. I will try to do better. Like I said, not perfect. For instance, just to put it out there, I struggle with feedback. That's a form of communication.
Yeah.
And we should be better at it. And I struggle with it. And I'm always like, okay, be better. And I'll sit down and I'll do it. And then the next few that I show up, just push it off. So there are things I need to be better at too. So I'm not just like, be better like me. There are all things we have to work on being better. But what I will do when somebody texts me and says, "Hey, do you have feedback for your showing?"
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Here you go.
Yeah. I try. I'm probably not real good at that one either.
We all struggle with feedback.
Because if you've been out showing several houses to several different people and you get, and it's like, it's been several hours and you're like,
Yes. It's just, there's so much stuff. You get back at the end of the day. A lot of times we're doing computer work, paperwork until, all hours of night. And then it's like, oh, now I have 11 houses I need to send feedback for. And I'm trying to think, not the one for them. Thanks for letting us look. I don't know how to, but at least it's something. And so this guy I know is he's trying to sell his house by owner. And I've been working on him. But we have a mutual friend who's a local lender. And I was talking to this guy on the phone the other day. He's like, "Why? I had a buyer and then I lost a buyer, and then there was an agent who showed it, and he said they were really interested, and then I was trying to call him back, but I haven't heard anything." And I talked to our lender friend, and she said, "Oh, he's a realtor. You're never going to get him to call you back." And I was like, "Oh, that's coming from a lender."
Yeah, that's not good.
No. I mean, if there's somebody who struggles at picking up the phone more than a realtor, it's our friends in lending. We love you guys. It was a joke. But I'm just saying, that's like, when we know that that's the number one complaint, that it's communication from your realtor. And then we hear that that's like a reputation that we've earned as, oh, they're not going to answer. We've got to do better.
Right. And I get I get a significant amount of reviews from my
Yeah.
clients, and that's always what they put, that I was responsive, got back to them right away, and communication. And that's their focus, because they're sitting at home going, okay, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
I haven't heard.
How many times in your career have you had somebody call you who turned into a client who said, well, I worked with X agent before, but they would never pick up the phone. They never called. They never.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to work with that person anymore. Like, that's happened to all of us.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And so what I never want is to be that agent that one of my clients runs off to somebody else because they said Eric wouldn't talk to me.
Right. Right.
It's like, we're trying to sell
That's
houses
our
here.
job.
Yeah. So
And if there's nothing going on and you're just sitting back letting the clock tick, just show them some love. Just hey, just checking in.
Yeah.
We're just letting the clock tick down till closing. Not a lot going on right now. If anything comes up, you have any questions, let me know. I'm still here.
I'm glad you brought that up, because let's say we've got a 45-day closing, right? For instance.
Cash as is.
Well, then we're doing it sooner than 45 days.
Right.
But let's say we're 45 days. We're working through inspections, appraisal, that kind of stuff. And we get our inspection done in the first couple weeks. And we knock out the repair addendum. So we're 3 weeks of our 6 weeks down, and we've done everything on our part.
We're just letting the clock tick.
So those next 3 weeks, it's so easy to just focus on because you have other clients,
Right.
other inspections, other things you're working on, other showings. It's so easy to be like, well, my job is done here. We'll just wait to close. But it's pretty important that you touch base with those clients.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's so easy to forget because you're focused on everything else and there's no worries there. But I always call, say, hey, just, touch base, everything going good? Have you been in contact with your lender? Making sure you're good. Have you we got to get utilities switched over.
Right.
There's those conversations. And the one I've got to add now is, have you looked into your homeowner's insurance? Because we always leave that up to the lender. And I've had that get forgotten about a few times.
Well,
So-
and what we're running into with the homeowner's insurance is if the roof is older, or not even old, 15 years old, and they're, they might have to shop around a little bit.
Yeah. Have you heard of this? So the first time I've ever heard of this. So a deal that my son has going on, the insurance company reached out to his buyer and said, we need to schedule an inspection for insurance, either virtual or in person. So you can go over there and we can get on like a Zoom call and you can walk us around and show us things. Or we can schedule a time for one of our representatives to go out there.
I have had that happen on some older properties out like in Petersburg. They're out there, they're looking for knob and tube wiring, or, looking for things like that. Because, they don't like that. And a lot of that depends on the insurance company.
Yeah. I'd never seen them. We all get the, hey, my insurance company wants to know the age of the electrical, plumbing, all that stuff, right? And that's a normal thing. But I had never seen it like, we need to inspect this property first. Right. Whoa.
Yep. Yeah, I've had that
scary.
on some older properties. I've had them do that.
Oof.
I hope that doesn't become a thing.
I mean, at this rate, I'm sure it will. Because, the profession of realtor is no longer needed because these home transactions are just getting easier and easier.
Right.
Fewer strings attached.
Yeah.
So
I think, the more moving parts that get interjected into the transaction, the more we're needed.
Yeah.
If we're going to have, insurance agents go out and play inspector, and appraisers go out and pick at peeling paint and play inspector and roofs, and we've already had an inspector.
Oh my gosh, Gina. Okay. So we have this deal going right now where it's an older house And the disclosures on an older house all read the same, basically. There's a basement. And so it says, slight seepage during heavy rains.
During heavy rains, yeah.
Right? The home itself was pre-inspected. The inspector noted, there's some evidence of a little bit of moisture in the basement. It says right there, typical for the age of the home, and marked it, I don't know, fair, whatever, So, did not note any issues. The underwriter said, we need to see a foundation inspection. So I talked to the loan officer. What do you mean? Well, can you just send the page of the report over, the inspection report? Yeah, no problem. Send it over because it says right there, typical.
Yeah.
Marked it fair, right? And there's it's an old house. Nah, this isn't going to work. We need a foundation inspection. It doesn't list the cause of the moisture, and it doesn't say that it doesn't need repaired. Basically, I said, whoa, hold on. Please go back to the underwriter and say, it does say the cause. The cause is the age. It says it's typical. Yeah. This is normal for this. All the houses this age do this. The cause is age. And so does it need repaired? No. He said fair, not bad. Fair doesn't mean bad. Bad is, I think this inspector puts marginal. Right? Okay, I'll check. When she comes back, no, they still want a foundation inspection done. I said, the whole point of an inspection is to acknowledge repairs that are needed.
Right.
The inspector didn't say repairs are needed.
Right.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah, right.
I don't know. It's
besides costing our clients unnecessary money.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Right.
So, yeah. So anyhow, navigating through that. It's off topic, but I'm tired, Gina.
Yeah. It just seems like
I'm exhausted.
There's more eyes every time you do a transaction that are questioning things.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. And so that brings us to the appraisals. And so a few months ago, I had an appraiser on here, Evan Hart, who's a friend of mine I've known since before I was in real estate and before he was an appraiser. And we were just kind of going through the whole procedure. And I was asking him questions like, what about this and what about that? And he did his best to answer, but at the same time, appraisers are somewhat bound by kind of like the rules of their job.
Right.
And so when you try to apply like logic to it there's nothing they can do, right? They like, well, this is what I have to do. This is protocol. I have to find past sales and those numbers have to match. And it's not, and it's like, so you and I are dealing with this situation right now with a short appraisal. And we don't need to get into the details necessarily, but the whole process of the appraisal, the point is what? Right? I mean, what's the point of an appraisal for a transaction?
To establish that the value is there for the purchase price.
Right. And it's for the bank, for the lender.
To protect the lender and the buyer. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they are, I guess, assuming that risk. So in case the buyer can't afford the house anymore?
Right. And I was in banking in 2008.
Okay.
I saw all this change after the housing debacle with all the subprime mortgages and people, going into foreclosure, and the banks couldn't recoup what they had loaned on the properties.
Sure.
And then they start blaming and pointing the finger at the appraiser saying, you appraised this at $250 and I can't get $190 for this house. And so that's when the government stepped in and really clamped down on the appraisers. And now the loan officer can't talk to the appraiser. It used to be the appraiser would call the loan officer and say, what do you need this to appraise at?
Right.
And the loan officer would say, I really need this to come in at, $250 or whatever. And they would do it. But those days are long gone, and rightly so. That's not right either.
Nope.
But now it's almost like the pendulum has swung so far the opposite direction that the appraiser has complete say in a process that, especially in this market when you've got low inventory and high demand,
Yeah.
if you can only focus on past sales, how would real estate ever appreciate in value?
It's almost like all of the cash buyers that came out were solely responsible for the appreciation that happened.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
No.
That didn't happen. It wasn't all cash buyers, and it wasn't all people writing in appraisal gaps. Because
Interest rates had a huge
sure.
effect on that.
But right after COVID, house prices skyrocketed. I mean, like an insane amount, where if you help somebody buy a house in 2019 for $200,000, it was not crazy if, 2 or 3 years later, after minimal investment as far as updating or anything, if you could get them $300,000 for that same house.
Right.
That was not a crazy scenario.
No. And I think a lot of that, there were a lot of factors during COVID that
Right.
contributed to the low inventory, the moratorium on foreclosures.
Yeah.
People weren't putting grandma in assisted living
No.
in selling her house. She was staying put. And so it kind of just, it created this bottleneck almost where there was just no inventory.
No.
People didn't want somebody strange coming through their house. I remember going to show houses and you walked in, there's a bottle of Purell and booties.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And gloves and masks, and they're saying don't touch the light switches. We've left all the cabinets open
touch
for
the
you.
doorknobs,
Don't
yeah.
touch anything, And so, I think that's what ultimately really sparked that low inventory.
Yeah. Yeah. And so supply and demand, there's everybody comes, out of the woodwork wanting to capitalize on the 2% interest rate.
Right. Yeah.
But there's nothing to sell. So all of a sudden, prices started going up. There
And
weren't
they're
enough.
refinancing instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And making home improvements. They're at home. So they're doing a lot of projects around the house rather than putting their house on the market.
So how were these homes during that time appraising when there were no recent comps to support those numbers?
I think the climate at the time.
So they had to.
Yeah,
They
I
had
think
to
appraisers were taking that into consideration that we're in a really strange time
Yeah.
and there's high demand, low interest rates, and that's the definition of fair market value, right?
Well, isn't it?
Well, that's what I always thought, what it will command in the open market.
And so I guess that's what makes this so confusing for me is, okay, there was a time where the value of a home from 1 year to the next was just like insanely different, where everything just jumped up from 20 to 21 or whatever it was. And so at some point there had to have been some sort of adjustment made on the calculations of, listen, this is a different place. It doesn't matter if this same, square footage and and location sold for this much last year. This is a different time. So there had to be some point where that formula that they have to work within to get the valuation had to be adjusted.
Right.
But according to, if you talk to an appraiser, and again, Gina and I, realtors, not appraisers. So I'm more than happy if any appraisers listening want to explain a little bit better, because we're just trying to understand.
Right.
So we're giving you the realtor viewpoint of, okay, we know what's happened before. We know that these prices have been justified based on the current climate before, when the comps weren't there
Right.
to support it. So now, 2025, where are we at? Because we're seeing some short appraisals now, and we're seeing it where we'll still have multiple offers at a certain price point. And then it'll short appraise. And we'll say, but hold on. We had multiple people wanting to pay this. And they'll say, well, the comps don't support it.
Right.
Like, well, you're looking backwards.
I agree.
Instead of the current.
At the current market.
Because you mentioned market value is what?
What it will command in the open market.
Right.
I could put $100 price tag on my house, and it's going to go to where somebody's willing to pay for it. So
yes,
it's frustrating.
It is.
And it's hard to explain to your client.
Yeah. And for appraisers, I get it. You have the way you have to do your job, right? And like you and I were talking, and you mentioned it earlier, it falls on the shoulder of one person.
Right.
And so that is kind of a thing. And I know they have a job to do, and they remain objective in that, but at the same time, shouldn't each appraisal have perhaps like a small committee, 2 or 3, 4, looking at it and saying, yeah, probably not, because it's not, they're saying like, this is not our opinion of price. This is what our research has found. Well, you do have to use your own judgment when you're gathering the comps as an appraiser.
Right.
Right. So there's no scientific formula for that necessarily. You're looking through comps the way that we're looking through comps to price a house. We have to decide, that's not a good one. Kick it out. Yeah, this is a pretty good one. We can use that. We have to decide the adjustments made comparing this one to that one. There is a human element involved.
Sure. And we're in a lot of houses.
Yes.
I mean, we're out there, we're touching them, we're smelling them.
Right.
We're feeling, we're walking across unlevel floors. We know what ththese comps are.
Yeah.
We've shown most of them.
Yes.
And we all know pictures are deceiving. So, when it does become frustrating when, you've been in a few of these comps that they're using, and it has water in the basement, or that you've seen mold or whatever. And the subject property is much more appealing because of all these issues that these comps have.
Right.
The appraiser doesn't know to take that into consideration because they haven't been in those.
They didn't go in the other houses.
Right.
They can only see what's online. Right. And so for all of that to fall on the shoulders of one person, it seems like the door is too open for some serious inaccuracies in that report. Regardless of the structure and the formula that they have to use to get the number, which might be very, very black and white and defined, it's still, I think, the process of gathering the information to put into that equation, I think needs to fall on more than one person.
Oh, I agree. My only concern there is those people are all going to want to be paid as well.
Of course.
So there you go. You're driving the cost up for the buyer again. Yeah. But it does seem strange to me that this all comes down to one person.
Yes.
With the final decision, even if you send an appeal. It goes back to that appraiser. They don't pay another appraiser to look at it.
No.
And,
And nobody likes, and I get it, because we're all humans, and nobody likes anybody second guessing their job.
But I've had appraisers call me and say, hey, I can't get this to appraise. Do you have any other comps or any other information for me that would be helpful? And I appreciate that so much because, I can say, well, this comp you're using, I've been in that house. It's got water standing in the basement. It has, this or that. We had 8 offers we were competing with. Kind of give them a little more information to go on so they can make a better, more informed decision rather than just sitting back saying, nope, I'm the appraiser and this is my final word.
Yeah. And then there's some weird, I don't know, like I've had it where that's happened too, and I always appreciate that when an appraiser reaches out and says, help me see what you're seeing. Like, again, we can tie this into the communication. We should all be working together here. We're all trying to, it's, we're all working for the same clients.
Because they don't have to talk to my buyer when she's crying her eyes out.
No. Or the sellers when they learn, oh, guess what?
Yeah.
You're taking a hit
Yeah.
here. The buyer wants to give you this money. We agreed on it. But now it's come to the report that one person has filled out, and this whole huge transaction is literally on the shoulders of this one person. And you said it, that's okay. If it was subject to like review by other appraisers, then the cost would go up.
Right.
I almost feel like it would be worth it to get more accuracy out of these things.
Because, like if you have a buyer that says, I'll pay for another appraisal.
Yeah.
It's same difference.
Exactly.
It's another $500-600 out of their pocket.
Yeah.
You could avoid that and save some time.
And so one of the things, and the reason when we first brought this up is what's the point of the appraisal? And it's to protect the bank. It's not, I mean, it's for the bank. It's not so much for the buyer. We say, well, it's to protect you. It's for the bank.
Yeah.
Or the lender. And it's, if the buyer defaults and it falls back on the lender, they have to justify the amount of money that they put into it.
Right.
Let's think about this logically. So the buyer defaults. What do you have now? A foreclosure? How many foreclosures have you sold that went for market value? Zero? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's it even doing, right? Let's say it's a $300,000 house and it appraises for $280,000. Oof, that's a big hit, right? Well, okay. So you go through the foreclosure process, utilities get shut off, they let their dogs pee all over the carpets, they kick holes in the doors and the walls.
Yeah.
You getting $280,000 out of that house
No way.
a year later?
No, because they're bitter.
Yeah. You're going to be lucky to get a $150,000 to $200,000 for that house. So what good was that number that the appraiser put on there? The bank is still taking a huge hit on that house.
And plus the costs of going through foreclosure for a bank, that's not cheap.
No.
Court costs and yeah.
Not that they should be thrown aside, but if you start thinking about it logically, well, yeah, no, they have to know they're going to get their money back if the buyer can't pay for it. Okay, because that happens never. That happens never.
Right.
So that part to me is hard to justify. Like, I get the banks wanting to protect themselves, but in a sense, the inherent risk of being a lender is knowing that if a buyer defaults, you're taking a hit.
But you have to remember
regardless.
too, you're dealing with the government. You're dealing with government regulations, secondary market, Fannie and Freddie, VA, FHA, whomever. And that's just the nature of the beast.
Sure.
Back when I was a kid and my mom sold, the bank sent a person out to appraise. And it was just, they had their appraiser in the bank and they would go out and throw a price on it and you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're good to go. But and you're right. It is. It goes up. It's government stuff. But the logic still applies.
Sure.
Whoever's holding the bag there is losing money if the buyer doesn't pay for it.
Because that buyer is going through foreclosure and they're on hard times. They're not changing their furnace filter.
No.
They're not maintaining their house at all.
No.
And that's a lengthy process, for them to stay in that house knowing they're going to lose it.
Yeah.
So no, you're absolutely right. They're not going to get it.
They're not getting their money back. Absolutely not. But the good news for the lending agencies is that they're doing just fine on the people who do make their payments.
Right.
Because if you look
and having that appraisal there probably just is a warm fuzzy feeling that makes them feel good and know that they've covered their butt.
Sure. And so that leads me to the next part of it, because I had some thoughts like, how can we make this better? Because we can all agree, and appraisers agree. When Evan was in here, he agreed that it's imperfect because all we can do is look backwards.
Right.
And we all know real estate appreciates.
Absolutely.
So how can you get an accurate valuation on an appreciating asset by only looking at values in the past? You can't.
No, there's no way.
It's impossible. So it's an imperfect process, an imperfect system. And everybody, I think, can agree to that, but how do you fix it? I had a thought.
Uh-oh, you're a smarter man than me.
I think I fixed it. I think I fixed it. And it's when you consider in the fact that there's some inherent risk anyway for the, the lenders and the government and everybody who's involved in this, because if a buyer defaults, you're never recouping that money. It should be based on like percentage, sales price versus appraised value. As long as it is within a certain percentage, the bank should still lend the money and honor that dollar amount. So if it's an appraised amount that is within, say, 5 to 10%,
yeah, that makes sense.
Because then, now we go through these whole processes of appeals, and it's like taking all this extra time, and it's all this headache and stress that we're putting on our buyers, we're putting on our sellers, we're putting on us, where, the appraiser has to then go back and, pretend like they reviewed what we sent them so they can say, no, sorry, didn't do anything. The lender has to hear about it too. Right. We're going back and arguing with them about it to, hey, help us out here, be on our side. And it's all this extra work that doesn't make any sense.
But we get an extra $300 commission.
Yeah, because that's what we're fighting for.
Yeah,
right. So to me, it would make sense if it, because it, an exact number down to the penny. Like some of these houses are short appraising by $2,000 or $3,000. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's crazy. And if you sent 3 different appraisers out there, you're going to get 3 different answers.
Exactly.
You can't tell me it's not subjective.
It's because that human element is there. It might not be somebody intentionally sabotaging the sales price, but what one appraiser sees as a good comp,
exactly,
another one might not.
Right.
And an adjustment that one appraiser sees based on recent updates or whatever, another one might see it differently. So it's like umpires in a baseball game. Mm-hmm. They're really good, but they're gonna miss a few. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all make mistakes. Anytime there's human element involved,
right,
there's going to be some mistakes made.
Sure.
And there's going to be some people who see it different. Maybe you should have done this, not that. But if we build in a cushion for that and be realistic about it and say that, as a bank, as a lender, if the appraiser says this is worth $5,000 less than the sales price, is that a huge risk for us? No. Because if the buyer is going to pay this off, we're assuming that this is going to be a good customer that's going to make all their payments and pay this off. We're doing just fine.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great idea.
I mean, it would avoid
have more of a range rather than
a
hard, fast number. Yeah.
This came to me overnight. I thought, oh, wait a minute. Why not? I would love for somebody to give me one good reason why that is not a better system than we have now. Mm-hmm. So I'm, I don't know. I don't even know.
I think it's a great idea.
I don't even know where we would go with that idea. I don't know where it would go.
I don't know who has the authority to make that decision.
Me neither. But it's better. It'd be better. Mm-hmm. We would avoid a lot of this. Just move on to the next one. Hey, don't worry. As long as we're somewhere in this range, everything's good.
Well, they do that with debt to income ratios and stuff. They have a range,
Yeah. So then, I don't know. I don't even know where to go from here. So, I think what people fail to realize, and you're going through this right now with the buyer, is that they're like, oh, great for the buyer. They get a cheaper house. Maybe. But the stress on the buyers, how many times have you been, and I've experienced it too, I've had the buyer house short appraised. So we go to the seller and say, hey, here we go. And they go,
right, we'll put it back on the market.
We'll put it back on the market. Mm-hmm. It's not a guarantee that your buyer gets a cheaper house.
Right.
the seller could very easily just say, no, I'm not taking that.
I had other offers.
Yeah.
For more.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And so the stress it puts on all parties is, it's rough. It's not just the seller.
It is. And the buyer emotionally has moved in. She's placing furniture. She's called the utility company. She's called the trash pickup. She's called, internet, all these places. And she's like, I don't want to go looking at more houses.
No.
I want this house. I've looked at a lot of houses. This is the one I fell in love with because I looked at all those other dumps.
Right. That's why buyers make offers, because they want the house.
Yeah.
So everybody's best interest is to keep this in place the way that it is. Mm-hmm. Like, I get it. I totally get it if it's, if somebody offers, $350,000 on a house that's worth like $280,000. I get it. Like, that's crazy. There needs to be some built-in protection there. A buyer shouldn't just be able to dictate,
Well, and I think in this
something-
market, we've had some buyers that have used that strategy to just get it, and then they know it's going to short appraise.
Yeah.
They've tried that too.
Savvy, aren't they? And then they put in, there's the appraisal, like, gap coverage. Mm-hmm. And, to veer off a little bit, I want to see what you think about this. Because we talked about home prices that went skyrocketing. And a lot of people, there was a lot of, people love to blame realtors. I don't know if you've noticed.
Oh, we get blamed for everything, yeah. I've noticed.
But people were blaming realtors for inflating home prices when we list. This was on us. We caused the housing. So that was us. Like, have you seen that?
I wish we had that much influence.
I know. And I got to thinking, because I argue with people on TikTok all the time because it's fun. And it is. And that's what somebody's, well, you realtors, you price the houses. Well, whoa, hold on.
Yeah. You ever look at a for sale by owner?
We did not directly impact the housing costs by listing houses too high.
No.
However, I do think we were a little bit, we had a little bit to do with that, but it wasn't as listing agents, it was as buyer's agents. Mm-hmm. And it was by encouraging buyers to overspend and to bypass the appraisal in order to get a house. Mm-hmm. And you're still seeing it. Agents will say, "No, you come in strong. You just listen. I know it's a $500,000 house, but you're a cat. Just give them $600,000. You'll lock it down." Right? And that happens. And there are agents who encourage their clients, well, if you want this house, this is what you have to do. Overspend by this much. Pay for it out of your own pocket. But what that does is create a new comp and raises the value of everything in that area to a place it should have never been. And so in that instance, that wasn't the main driving factor. Obviously, supply and demand more than anything. But that played a part. Mm-hmm. And so I had that thought when somebody was telling me it was our fault. And I was like, and there was also a house that I had buyers not get who had a really strong offer because somebody came in and did something like that. Just blew everybody out of the water by overpaying by like $75,000 more than this house should have ever gone for. But they were cash and they wanted it. Now all of a sudden everything in this neighborhood worth way more than it should be. And I was like, you just threw this whole thing like out of balance now. This whole neighborhood now is, this one comp is making everybody go, ooh.
Yeah.
And that sale will justify it because now an appraiser can see when the next house goes for that much, well, yeah, this one did. So, have you ever thought of that before?
I've never told anybody that. I've always told my buyers, if you wake up tomorrow morning and you find out you didn't get this house,
right?
At what price will you not be disappointed?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, you got to come in 100,000. I just would not do that.
No.
I have said, you're going to have to be aggressive.
Yeah, of course.
Go to your comfort level. I'll say stuff like that, but I don't throw numbers out there like that.
No, but some people do.
That'll come back to bite you.
Yeah, it's coming back to bite all of us, I think.
And when they start having buyer's remorse, they're going to blame you.
Yeah.
Because you advised them to pay more than the house was worth.
I always tell people, and this happened especially during that time right after COVID, I had a lot of buyers not get houses because I would argue with them about waiving inspections. I would argue with them about spending too much. I'm trying to talk them out of buying a house. I'm like, no, if somebody wants to overpay and waive all the inspections, then we'll find you something else. But we cannot, and we'd walk in, you think this is overpriced? And yeah, everything is right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So here's what we got to do. And, if you want, but what you have to think of is life happens. So if in a year from now you're saying, oh, I didn't see this coming, but now I need you to sell my house. Because that happened. That's happened to all of us.
Sure.
Where the phone rings and you go, what are you calling me for?
Yeah. Divorce, death, whatever. Lost a job.
How much do you think we could get for this? Like this house you just bought 9 months ago? How much? About what you paid?
Plus you're going to pay commission.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if that happens, are you comfortable when you just know if you call me, I'm not going to say, well, you're going to put 50 grand in your pocket because that's highly unlikely.
Right.
But that is that was a crazy time. We're still kind of in it a little bit. And people are taking, I know, like you said, I do the same thing. I'd never throw out numbers. No. You should offer this. I never. But a lot of people will say, what should we offer? We get asked that. What should we offer? What do you want?
Yeah.
The line I always use, and I hate that I have lines, but I do. Because I've been doing this long enough, and you hear the same questions over and over, so you start answering them the same ways. I always say, it's easy for me to spend your money. It's not mine. This is your money. Don't ask me how to spend your money.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah. And what I might pay for it might be different than what you're willing to pay for it.
Exactly. Here's what I can tell you. It's the market says it's worth about this. If we kind of keep going the way that we're going, you live here 5 years, you're going to be fine, right? If you pay somewhere in this range. Yeah, but nothing is sold for this much. Maybe not, but you got to take appreciation into account. If you're paying 5 to 10 grand more than maybe the market says it's worth, in the long run, that's not going to be terrible. If you're paying 50 to 75 grand more, that's reckless.
That's a lot to recoup.
Yeah, but people are doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And people did it a lot during that time.
And especially people who aren't from this area and familiar with our market. People moving here from other states where the prices are crazy. They think, oh, I'm getting a steal.
Yeah. Yeah. Do a little research. But, as a realtor, your phone rings and it's some out-of-state buyer going, I got cash. I want that one. I'll give them this much. I think it's up to us in that instance to be like, well, you might not have to pay that much.
Let's put the brakes on, pull some comps and do a little research.
Right.
Be ethical. Represent your client.
It's not that hard.
No.
It shouldn't be. So, I don't know. I felt like, did we just do a venting? Did we just come and vent?
I guess we did.
Better at communication. Appraisals can be annoying. Underwriters are driving me. I see. This is my son. He's
mad because you're not answering his phone.
He knows I do a podcast right now every week at this time. So, and he's gonna listen to this back because he listens, and I'll be like, quit talking about me. But So I mean, I don't know, Gina. I don't know what else to. I mean, we're working through stuff. This is what we are going to continue to do.
We navigate through it. And that's what I tried to tell my buyer, let us handle this. We deal with this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
It'll work itself out. It may not be the way everybody wanted it to, but at the end of the day, that's all you can do is your best.
Yeah. Yeah. And when things like this happen with, when appraisal issues come up, inspection issues, now we have underwriters, the mysterious overlords of real estate that nobody, has ever met or dealt with. I don't know if they're real.
I don't think they exist.
I think they're fake.
It's kind of like AI.
Yeah.
They're just scanning everything in. And
when I had Natalie Dotson in here from IMB, I said, they're in a little room in the basement, aren't they? Inaccessible. You got to scan your retina to get in there. Nobody's ever seen them or talked to them. She goes, oh my God, they are in a room in the basement. I was like, I knew it. I knew it. The most well-protected people in real estate are the underwriters.
Yeah.
Well, underwriting said this. What? Can I talk to them? No. Absolutely not.
We don't even give them a phone.
Yeah. No.
No, I think the future is just going to bring about more issues and more issues. And, like I said, the AI, the appraisals, the underwriting, the insurance.
Yeah.
It's going to become more and more tedious.
Yes. And I just when you hear, people don't even need you guys anymore. And I go, okay, have fun. Because forget showing houses and writing contracts. It is a full-time job dealing with this extra stuff.
Just getting it to the closing table. Yeah.
And if you want to deal with that on your own, you have no idea what any of this stuff means, by all means.
Yeah. And then get out in the rural areas where you're dealing with septics and propane tanks and wells and,
we finally closed on it, but I have I had a listing with a septic issue, and it was a whole big thing where a whole new septic system had to go in, even though the one that was there was functioning.
Ooh.
Because when it was put in according to current codes and guidelines. But that was like 40 years ago. But it was still functioning. And the association required a passing septic inspection to sell it to the next person. The septic inspection happened and said, it's not up to code. Functioning, but it's not up to code. Association said, we're not going to allow this sale until you put in a new septic system.
Oh, wow.
$30,000 hit.
Ouch.
For a septic system that was functioning.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
Oof. Right. And luckily, so this property was owned outright. But my seller asked me, what do people do?
Yeah.
If they, thankfully we can absorb that blow. It sucks. We're not happy. But what do people do who can't? They can't then.
They just can't.
They can't. If you can't sell it until, and if you don't have the equity in it, you don't have the money set aside to cover it, you can't.
Right. I had one out Greenview area, had 2 separate parcels. They had bought an additional half of a lot.
Okay.
Just to have more space, more yard. But when they had built it, the developer had put the septic on the parcel with the house.
Oof.
And the laterals on the next door lot. I did not realize you cannot have a septic and the laterals on 2 separate parcels. So we had to call the county courthouse out in Petersburg and get those 2 combined into one parcel. I don't know how they sold it before. Apparently the inspector didn't catch it or something.
Right.
But these kids were like, well, how did we buy it?
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder that stuff too. Like, I've seen you mentioned knob and tube earlier, wiring, which is like from the 30s or something, 100-year-old wiring that it'll get flagged on any inspection report. Like this.
It's basically wrapped in cloth.
Yeah.
And then it gets this buildup of dust.
Yes. So it is
It's
just
a
straight up fire hazard.
Yeah.
And so a lot of insurance companies will require that to be updated before they insure the house.
Right.
And so Jace and I are working with some buyers right now, and this popped up. It's like, oh, knob and tube. And it's like we had to request that sellers update all that. Thankfully they are, but it makes me wonder, like, how did this pass before? How did you have insurance in place already on this? I don't know.
Well, the insurance probably didn't realize that they had knob and tube wiring, but now that's why you're seeing some insurance agencies send an inspector out.
Yeah. This job's getting hard, Gina.
It is. It's getting hard.
But we just go through pretty houses and open doors and post on social media, go on vacation.
I have been bit by fleas, chased by pit bulls. I've been cussed out by a parrot. That was probably the best one.
You got cussed out by a parrot?
By a parrot, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
His name was Cisco.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Yep, that was his name.
Now that's funny. I would appreciate that. But
he'd walk in and he'd say, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty."
Yeah. But I think we've all had the fleas thing happen, right?
Oh, God, that's the worst.
And you come out of a house and look down, you're like, are you kidding me? I've got fleas all over my legs now.
And bites. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, my
I
gosh.
worry about bed bugs. That's what I kind of freak out about.
Ugh.
Going in houses that you might pick up something. But, yeah.
Ugh. All right. We better get out of here. I got to call my kid back.
Okay, well, I will hope to see your pumpkin
Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah.
carving.
So I do I do it every year. All my clients are the ones who want to participate. Carve a pumpkin. I put out a photo album on Facebook, and it runs for 5 or 6 days, and whoever gets the most likes, we give them like a big fall themed gift basket. It's
that's
really
fun.
cool. So did you look through the pictures
I
on there?
did. There were some really creative ones.
Some really, really cool pumpkins, right?
Yeah.
So I've got awesome clients who do a great job. So go check out my my Facebook page and look at those. But Gina, in the spirit of that, brought me, you probably can't tell on camera, but it's an Abraham Lincoln design to carve a pumpkin.
A pattern. So go get your carving tools at Target and get busy.
All right. I told you I was going to give this to my wife. Because if it's me, I know this is not going to work.
It looks like a tough one to me.
It does, but it is super, super cool.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to do it. Where'd you get this?
I Googled it.
Oh, okay. So it's like an actual thing. Here.
There's a website for patterns.
Okay. You know what you should do is you should carve one of these for New Salem.
Yeah.
And have it out there on display.
I will be out there Friday and Saturday, the 17th and 18th. I will be in the shoe cobbler shop in my sexy pioneer dress and apron and sleeping bonnet.
Well, tell everybody what's going on at New Salem before we get out of here.
Candlelight tour. They've expanded it this year to 9 nights.
That's awesome.
They had their first 3 nights last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they had a great turnout. They're running it from 5 to 7:30. They're not going as late as they used to,
right.
but that
used to be later, right?
That's why I chose the last weekend, because I thought it'll be darker by then.
Okay.
And it's going to be this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then the 17th, 18th, and 19th.
So it's the candlelight tour.
You walk through the village, and they're lighting all the candles that are in the lanterns.
So many candles.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And everything's it's. We've all been to New Salem. Hopefully, everybody's been to New Salem. We would all go as, kids on field trips during the day. Mm-hmm. But to go through there at nighttime,
it's a different world.
When it's lit up by candlelight is so cool. We've done it the last 10 years.
Yeah.
We always go.
It's beautiful. They're serving hot chocolate at the visitor center, so you grab a cup of hot chocolate, walk through the village. They're going to have, they've got dulcimer players. They have some time period musicians out
Very
there.
cool.
They've got the militia.
There's always like a bunch of food trucks out there too now.
Well, now that the rail splitter is open, I don't think they're having the food trucks.
No food trucks?
No, they've got the rail splitter open.
Okay.
Now. So her name is Hillary, and she will be open every night during the candlelight tour.
Okay, good. So you can go get a bite to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, she's going to be open till 8 o'clock. So if you get out of the village at 7:30, she's still going to be open.
You still have time to get something to eat before it's all... Okay, awesome. Well...
So come see me in the shoe cobbler shop if you're out there.
I will, I'm sure we're going to be going out there. We never miss it.
It's looking amazing. The
Awesome.
new site superintendent is really making a lot of improvements. So I'm happy.
Gina Wolter, I'm happy you joined me today. So
Thank
you. I'll try to get this out a little bit later, and hopefully nobody gets too mad at us.
Oh, I hope not.
All right. Thanks for listening. See you next week.